What's happening, Andy? Here I am joined by Laryssa Alexander of ECI. How are you doing today, Laryssa?
I'm doing great. Thank you. How are you?
I am good. It is great to see you. Last time I saw you, we were both struggling to get to our next leg of our trip coming out of that POA weather debacle up in Portland at the beginning of the year. I'm glad to see you eventually made it.
Yeah, those were fun times.
Yeah, that was a long day. Let's take a step back and talk about ECI and what you do for them. It's that company I think everybody is familiar with at one level or another. But let's hear it from you. You're one of the key executives from this organization, and we wanted to bring your message out and talk about what you do and where you're going and let's go from there. So give us some background on ECI, please.
Sounds good. Okay. Well, first of all, thank you for having me on your show. Um, so for those that don't know me, Laryssa Alexander, I'm president of the field service division within ECI Software Solutions. I've been supporting the technology office community for 27 years now. Actually, I just hit 27 in February, so it's been quite a while. Talk a little bit about the company. So for those of you who aren't familiar, ECI, so we provide industry specific business software to the SMB market globally. We support, from an ECI perspective, we support industries such as manufacturing, residential construction, building supplies, distribution, and of course, my favorite, field service, which is what I'm responsible for. If you look at the field service division, that includes products such as, well, I'll start with ThermoGrid, which is a new software that many of these customers won't be familiar with. It's another purpose-built software. And again, that's kind of our niche market. We acquired it in 2020, and it serves predominantly the HVAC market and some adjacent markets to that as well. But if we shift focus then to the office technology side of the business, that's where it includes the products such as eAutomate, all of the surround products, mobile tech, the device management solutions, where we have FM audit, print fleet, and then of course our go forward solution, which is Printinista.
So the Printinista is something we've spent a lot of time on. I started working with you guys within the last year and learned quite a bit about it. I didn't know about that part of the organization. That's the print management piece, and you
Correct.
guys are bringing that together for dealers. So what's interesting to me is how many dealers know you, but they know you for what they use you for, right?
Mhm.
And everybody kind of uses you for maybe a couple of things, but then they don't either know about the other stuff that you do or they just don't use it. I have seen a lot of change at ECI over the last year. We see Mark, who's been at all the conferences forever, has moved into a new role, and Anna Grubb is in charge of the program. She's been to a couple of conferences. We saw her at a couple of BTA meetings, I think, maybe a couple of vendor meetings as well. So
Mhm.
you're moving some people around. Tell us, what's going on at ECI right now?
Sure, yeah. I mean, there's a lot going on at ECI. I guess there's a lot going on for all of us, right, in our businesses. We're focused right now on continuing to drive investments in kind of our core products, our cloud offering, and I'll talk a little bit about these in a minute. And then our go forward solutions, which I kind of talked a little bit about that with the mobile tech and the Printinista side of things. But for those who aren't familiar, Mobile Tech is one of them. It's a go forward solution for our service dispatch, and it's replacing Remote Tech. It is a native mobile app solution. It encompasses the functionality that most of our dealers have come to rely on for their business, in addition to some new features. Some of the challenge we had in the past was the technology was a bit of a limitation. This being a native mobile app kind of opens the doors for us, to be able to add more functionality. So we've made significant enhancements over the last couple years, and gotten a lot of feedback from, our customers, from vendors, from just different parts of the business to make sure that we're building it out with something that's going to resonate. We're actually doing a webinar here in the next week or two, I believe. We just announced it, and we already have over 100 people signed up for it. So, we've had a lot of migrations that people have, moved and upgraded from the remote tech side to mobile tech. So we're excited to see this continue in this coming years.
So moving forward, you guys are in a lot of different channels, right? You mentioned several of them. Uh, what does the future look like for print dealers, for office equipment resellers and their relationship with ECI? It's ECI, I mean, we can tell you're going in a lot of different directions. What's the commitment? What's, going forward? How critical to ECI's overall success will print be in the future?
Right. Well, I mean, from a field service division, and when I look at my business, specifically, I'm going to say 90+% right now is managed print, right? So that is the bulk of my customer base. And one thing, I'm kind of preaching to the choir here, talking to you about this, but you know how resilient this industry has been, right? I mean, you think back to the days where our dealers were selling typewriters, right, and have evolved through the years and evolved to where they are today. So, they've proven time and time again that the relationships they have with their customers are critical, and they're very strong. I mean, the customers seem to really stand by them. So one of the things that we've been promoting and talking about for the last few years, even before all of the pandemic and all of that hit, was being a hybrid dealer, right? And diversifying their portfolios to make sure that they're able to continue to handle any impacts from changes or disruptions that might be caused from outside things that we can't control. So, we have a lot of the dealers, and I'm sure you've seen, and I know you've reported on them, a lot of them acquiring new parts to the business, right? And over the last few years, yeah, IT services, managed services, has been a big part of it. But we even see customers that are adding things, some as small as coffee machines and service and supplies. So again, the goal here is to look for new ways to drive revenue, look how to expand the relationships that they already have with the customers, because the trust is already there. Many of them, they've been supporting them for decades. So what our focus continues to be is finding ways to make sure we can support the dealers as they explore new markets.
So I love the part where you talked about typewriter resellers, because that, it makes me smile, because I've been to, you might have been there too. BTA had their, I think it was their 90th birthday a few years ago. They're probably closing in on 95, almost 100 at this point. And, looking at that, we all knew none of these guys were selling copiers back then. And they had all these pictures of everyone in the suits, and it was awesome, right? But that's exactly what it is that B2B relationship with the customer. And these resellers have chased the customer with new products and services for almost 100 years at this point as a channel. And they've been meeting together as peer groups. Going forward, where do you see the dealer turning to ECI? Is it going to be continuing for that managed print? Are you moving into some other areas? Are there some new types of offerings? I mean, you guys have a reach within that channel, arguably greater than just about anybody. I mean, we're talking about 1,000 resellers, give or take, maybe even a little less by now. And certainly all the big ones are using you. You have I mean, lion's share would be an understatement of them. And they don't, like we said, they don't all use you for the same thing. So, how do you get everyone's attention on this, on all the different stuff that you do? But then going forward, the diversification you mentioned, what are some of these new areas you think you can take them into?
Yeah, so like you said, I mean, we do have, especially when you look at probably the larger businesses, right, or the ones who have been around for many years, that definitely is kind of our niche market there as far as our solutions are concerned. But I think what we're trying to do is making sure, for us, what kind of sets us apart, I feel, has always been the ecosystem, right? I mean, so when we look at ECI and we have, the core products, like you said, that people are familiar with, we've got our eAutomate users, we've got the device management users on the different products that I mentioned earlier. And when you look at those bases combined, I mean, we're talking about close to about 2,000 dealers that we have right now within the field service division. But again, I think it's the ecosystem that sets us apart. Our goal is to make sure that we provide the core products, drive automation and efficiency. And a lot of that is going to be done through integration. So when you think of things like Printinista, or go forward on the device management, I mentioned it earlier, but the focus there and the intention has always been, when we acquired FM Audit and Print Fleet and Print Audit, was to leverage the best of all of these solutions and bring them together into a go forward. that would allow us, it's better scalable, it's easier from a support perspective. I shouldn't say easier, but it's more efficient, right, to support a single product. So that is kind of the long-term goal, is to move there, but also by driving enough functionality and features that it is more of a value add, right, for the customer, so that they can see the benefits. We added things like remote remediation, some of the things that we did, and we did it in an agnostic way, so that it allows our dealers to have that remote capability for troubleshooting and fixing, but not be tied to a specific OEM. As you know, I mean, the idea of a single line dealer doesn't exist anymore, right? I mean, everybody is carrying multiple lines. So that was some of the thought we put into it, was making sure we didn't just support a particular vendor, but something that opened the door. So again, I think it's that ecosystem and that fully connected business system that is what we feel is going to help them be successful.
It's funny you say what sets you apart, and in the back of my head, I'm sitting there thinking, from who? I just I can't think, I think I can't think of anyone to honestly compare you to. You are in so many areas at such a high level. I don't even know what you would be set apart from. But you offer stuff that clearly the resellers have needed for years, and going forward they're still going to need. There's no there's not a lot of alternative. There's years of work that you've done to get to where you are, and it's not so easy to just jump right in and start something. So
Right.
you guys are you're really the only game in town in a lot of ways. um
Well, but there are options, right? And I don't
yeah,
want to seem, I
yeah,
mean, I don't want to take that for granted, because obviously it's important to us that
right.
we continue to evolve and to care for the customers, and always assume that there are competitors out there, or people kind of in the sidelines waiting, right, for an opportunity. But this goes back again, when you look at ECI's approach, is when I mentioned earlier about industry specific, right, and purpose built software. To me, that is a huge part of what sets us apart too, because yeah, you can look at some of these big packages, or if you think of like an SAP or an Oracle or Dynamics or some of these, and wonderful solutions. I'm not going to say anything, but these were not ones that were designed specifically for handling some of the business needs that our customers have. The minute they go in and start trying to understand how they're going to do contracts with, colors at one rate and black at a different, or, base with overages, or group, billing, what all these nuances, right, that they've all come to expect to be able to handle in the ERP, is where I think those other solutions are a little struggled. Doesn't mean they can't build them out, but at what cost? And we have 30 plus years of experience going back historically to our legacy products that have given us all of that experience to make sure that what we're building is going to resonate with the customers.
No, no, you're right. And there have been companies that have come and gone, and certainly more will come.
Sure.
And competition is good for everybody. You're absolutely right about that.
Yeah.
But to your point, you are 30 years into this, and you have, you have learned some lessons along the way. Probably some of them that weren't so easy to take, and some of them
Yeah.
that were, super beneficial and got you to where you guys are now. So, looking forward, I know you have a conference coming up. I think it's September. What's on the horizon for the rest of this year?
Yeah. So, well, when we look at the horizon, so I'm really excited about ECI's recent acquisition. I don't know if you saw it in the news, but it was ES Tech Group about a year ago, and their flagship product, which is Evolution X, and it's a B2B e-commerce platform. It provides world-class shopping experience, and we're counting on this for our dealers to be able to leverage. Again, when you talk about helping them grow and helping them drive more revenue opportunities and all of that, obviously e-commerce is a big part of it. And I know the first thing people are going to say, well, I already have an e-commerce solution. And in some cases, some of our dealers, and I've seen, websites and looked, and they have, good websites. But on the other side, then we've got people that have some form of a website, but then it's like sending an email, or it's, there's not that automation, right? And when the customers see the level of sophistication around this product, I think it will be clear that it will set them apart. So I'm excited. The team
That's
is
very
actually
exciting.
working. Yeah, they're working on the integration right now. I'll have more information in the coming months. But this goes back to that ecosystem I mentioned earlier. Anytime we can have tightly coupled solutions that are sharing the same information, that's going to maximize the business for growth potential.
Integrated. I mean, that's
Integration.
the
Yep.
key, right? And that's
Yep.
what you do. That's what you do.
Yep.
Well, very cool. So where will we see you next? What's your next
Oh
big meeting?
goodness, we have a lot of events coming up. I've been asked to speak at one of the peer groups this summer. I've got some trade shows, both domestic and international, that I will be attending. And then, of course, I mentioned, or you mentioned earlier, that we've got our Connect conference, which is coming up this fall, November 11th to the 13th in
November, yes.
yeah, November 11th, 13th in Fort Worth, and it's actually going to be ECI's 25th anniversary.
Oh,
So
no kidding.
yeah, so we are, this is going to be a celebratory year for us, and we've got some great things that we're working on. I kind of talked a little about the e-commerce, and there's several other things that we're going to be showcasing at the event. So hopefully for all of our customers and partners, we'll see them there.
Well, very cool.
We continue to make a lot of investments, and we've poured millions of dollars into ensuring we've got a cost-effective and secure way, right, to provide customers access to solutions. I'm not going to go into all the statistics and scare everybody. I think everybody has seen the the numbers of what a breach can do to a business, and at a minimum, it's debilitating. And in some cases, I mean, some people have closed their doors as a result of it. So, we're looking for ways to make sure that we continue to make those investments so that it is a way that they can have a secure place. And we have a lot of customers. When you look at the dealer size and scope, some of the larger ones, right? IT services, full teams, they can manage their environments, they're in a better place. And then we've got the other customers in that small to mid size where even the investment from a hardware perspective, and then never mind investment into the proper tools and everything that's needed, again, to make sure that we are protecting the data. That's another reason why, we had kind of a situation a month or two ago with some of our vendors in the cloud that were, we kind of worked through. But I will say, though, that we do have commercial agreements in place with all of the vendors that were there before. As I said before, no, connection has ever been disconnected or disrupted for any of our vendors. And I'm happy to say that they are back all available. In addition to that, we have some new vendors and actually a release that will be coming out here soon of adding somebody else to the cloud. So I want the customers to know we have to be mindful about the approach we take for our cloud environment, right? We have to scrutinize as far as what we're allowing in, because everything that we do opens up the possibility, right, for making sure we've got the right connections, making sure we're ensuring security. So we also do this, right, to kind of protect the overall environment. So I'm happy to say that we've got agreements with everybody. All of the accesses remain in place, and we don't see any disruptions coming in that way.
Well, that's great to hear. That was one of the things that kind of popped up earlier this year, is a little bit of static between you and some of your partners, and I'm glad you were able to work all that out. Funny, all that stuff that we talked about, though, you look at, these aren't what I traditionally had thought of ECI, but we talk cloud, we talk e-commerce, we talk obviously print management. I would give you that one, but several different areas that are, I would say, the biggest trends in our industry. I just did a conference in Mexico this week, and I spoke on trends, and two of those trends were things I spoke about. Diversification is a big deal, and we all realize that print, in 5 or 10 years is going to look a little different, and we're at a point when we can maybe use print to move into some other areas and leverage the print to kind of build ourselves in some other areas. And you seem like you're going right down that path with them. So
Yeah,
kudos to you, and thanks so much for coming on, and I really do
I
appreciate
appreciate
it.
it. Yeah, thank you. And I appreciate the opportunity to be on your show and have a chance to speak to the customers, and hopefully this will be the first of many engagements that everybody will see me with this year.
Awesome. Well, take care, Laryssa. We will
Okay.
talk soon, and have a great weekend. We'll talk soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.